Hello again. Welcome back on my YouTube channel. I'm back again with another video. So guys, okay. Okay. Like I was doing something to actually to be in a mood because wow, like sometimes I'm not in mood to make videos, but I'm just gonna do it because why? I think I love the idea of doing it. So today I'm just gonna make a video whereby I'm talking about reaching dead end, whereby you feel like you are not moving, you feel like you reach rock bottom, you feel like you know what, I'm not actually prepared, but I'm just gonna try to remember. And I didn't write downloads, it's something that I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do it without. It's more like I'm freestyling. So I just wanted to prepare to do as much I always do, but it's as if I have to just do it. So I'm quite excited and my eyes are itching. So okay, I'm just gonna talk about reaching dead end, whereby you finding yourself not being able to breathe, not finding yourself to be able to move about, and not being able to actually uh finding yourself in a place where you feel like you are suffocating. You feel like you're in your autopilot, whereby everything is comfortable, everything is actually not working, and you don't understand that you actually need something simple as changing something. Because whenever you're not changing something in your life, there is no fucking way that you can have a desired outcome that you actually want. The reason why we were actually experiencing a lot of us reaching dead end is because whatever that we're doing with our life or with ourselves is no longer working, is no longer aligned with us. So as it's no longer aligned with us, we are required to change something, whether it's a habit or maybe you just have to start over. Probably there is somewhere that I actually read, which this person is actually a coach. I forgot her name, but she said something like sometimes you actually don't need to change the idea, you just have to look at in a different perspective. But she didn't say it as I'm saying, it's just that I'm just going to interpret in the way that I actually remember. So she said something like sometimes it's just that you don't need any idea, you just need yourself in a manner that you are more knowledgeable. You change in a better place, whereby you are able to take responsibility for whatever that you need to do. So I'm just gonna talk about that. You just sometimes you just don't need to, like for example, changing a career. Like have you ever like put yourself in a position whereby you just have to change your career to the point you're starting something new? Sometimes yes, sometimes we will need that in order whenever we reach dead end. But sometimes, for example, you're feeling like your career is stagnant, or maybe uh your coaching business is just not making it. You feel like, I'm just reaching like a dead end. I just don't feel like I'm actually doing something whatsoever. That's when we actually push to do something different. You can still be the coach that you want to be, but sometimes you are so comfortable with it, you don't see the need to change. The red dead end, it's more like you reaching rock bottom. When you're reaching rock bottom, it's whereby you are pushed to look at things different. Your foundation must, you need to look at your foundation. You can create a good foundation initially, but as you create a foundation for yourself, it doesn't mean just because you created a foundation for yourself you don't need to make changes. So as you grow, you are required to grow too. As you grow, your career is supposed to be growing with you. It's supposed to be challenging. Whenever everything stops challenging you, there's high possibility that you actually reach rock bottom with whatever that you are doing. You reach dead end, whereby you feel like you're not moving, but sometimes you just have to change direction with whatever that you are doing. It's just you changing direction. So it's the same thing as walking to a path whereby you didn't know that that path has actually it end to someone else's home, and you were like, oh fuck, I thought this is where I am supposed to be going, and maybe it's gonna give me a shortcut, and you realize no, it's not giving you shortcut. Instead, you are reaching someone else's house, and you have to go back and look what and evaluate what the idea that you actually had, or maybe evaluate the path that you took, and how the approach that you had before, when why it's not longer working. So you are being pushed to that, to the point that you're evaluating why this idea didn't work out. And because part of having us not being in a place where we're actually making it, or maybe when the place, it's just that I don't want to use the word success, because we actually define success differently, and we are different. We know what success is, and I can define success in a way that I understand how, and it makes sense to me, and then you end up describing success in a way that makes sense to you, because I don't believe success is just some form of us being better than other people, just you being better than you were yesterday. So whenever you're finding yourself comparing yourself, I think it's another form of telling yourself that you are not competent, which is not true, because comparison is another way of poisoning yourself, poisoning your growth. You're not supposed to put yourself in a position that you're comparing yourself. So it's important, whenever you're doing comparison, you're comparing yourself way by where you started and where you at, because eventually that's what you need. You don't need to put yourself in a position whereby you evaluating success in a form of that the other person is doing this and I'm doing that, the other person is this, it does have this and that, and that. Because initially we are different, we don't require things that are actually as same as other people. So whenever you find yourself, whatever that you're doing is no longer working, is because you are being called to go within. That's why, for example, a lot of artists sometimes have to pause with their music, because their music, it's no longer, they can feel it, they are no longer in tune with themselves, they are no longer in touch with who they are, so they're doing it for the sake of doing it. So that's why reaching rock bottom is part of reaching dead end. It's part of our own way of going within ourselves. It's part of our way of going within, evaluating our choices, our decision about certain things that we made. And it's necessary. It's more like hermit, going hermit. Whenever you are being called or to go hermit, you actually have to be reach rock, I mean, you have to reach dead end, because dead end, it's whereby you feel like there's nowhere else to run, there's nowhere else to go. And what you do need to do whenever you don't know where to need to go, you need to think. So it's the same thing as going within yourself and trying to surrender, because we are constantly needed to surrender in our own path. Our own path is limit is limitless, as is limited less, our soul is also limitless. So we are required to do things different. Sometimes you reach dead end because you probably neglect a lot of things that are actually happening in your life, because you were so focused on this goal, and this goal is giving you an empty feeling. Probably you neglected self-love, you neglect um a lot of things, maybe home, you neglect a lot of things that are actually happening in your surrounding, you're not being present. So you end up feeling frustrated, and being frustrated is another form of teaching you to be patient, is another form of teaching you to be surrender. It's another, like, you are being called to go within, because the thing is, the only time we find ourselves frustrated about certain situation and things, of course sometimes it's frustrating, but sometimes it's because we are rushing. And rushing, it's not something that is actually aligned with our soul. Our soul is one of the most patient things we can ever had in this lifetime. And there's no such a thing as time, even, like, like, there's something that has been happening to me ever since my spiritual awakening, whereby I actually experience not knowing what time is it, like, not knowing the day, and not knowing, like, when did this event happen. So I right now I take a lot of pictures than I did, because sometimes any event can feel like it happened years ago. that how much our soul is not designed as we actually design things in weirdly. Our soul is not in a manner of knowing anything that is weird. That's why sometimes we put ourselves in a rigid space where we're putting ourselves, make probably I'm making a goal that in September I'm just everything like for probably I'm in a journey, or like for example I'm in a journey of losing weight, so I'm making a goal that say it's just ate cucumber. I don't know what's wrong with. Okay, probably I'm making a goal that in September from now on I'll be waiting. And at the end of September I'll be weighing probably, because right now I think I'm weighing 68 kg or 65. I'm not sure. Probably I'll be weighing 55 kg, and then you know what? I am putting myself into pressure, and that's why you find yourself frustrated. You find yourself demotivated. You find yourself in a place where you are not happy, you're feeling like a failure, you end up labeling yourself in a manner that is not aligned with you, not because you are lacking or not because there's something's wrong with you. It's just because you're putting yourself in a dead end. You are restricting yourself, because reaching dead end, it's you restricting yourself, is you being rigid, is you not being open to new things, is you not allowing your soul to do the whole thing. Instead you are doing things with your ego mind. That's why whenever you lose trying to lose weight, and then we ended up losing, of course it's a journey. Like losing weight, it's a journey. It's not something that you are putting it as I don't like putting things as a goal. Like I wish people can move away from doing things that are goal oriented. It's okay to set up like that, but as I'm growing, as I'm maturing, I'm realizing that goal putting goals is one of the most toxic things that we ever put ourselves into. It's put us in the most rigid place. It puts us in a most, it's okay to have, you know what, I want to do this in this lifetime, I want to do this right now, and this and that. And putting yourself in that, it can cause a lot of harm than good, because you are doing something with not you being yourself. You're doing something that is exhausting. Our soul get exhausted with the goals that we put in ourselves. I just realized I'm no longer putting a lot of goals in my, like for example, I used to be like, okay, I'm gonna lose weight. Oh, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna, you know what? My soul, I'm just obedient now. I'm more obedient than ever with what my soul want, instead of ignoring and ended up doing exactly that I said I wanna do. I used to be that rigid. I used to be like, right now I'm just gonna finish this degree without attending my mental health, without attending my emotional, how am I feeling about it, without doing anything. Even sometimes I was that person who never break promise with anyone. For example, if I said I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna be there. It doesn't matter whether I'm nose bleeding, it whether I am in pain, I can't sit because I'm on my period. Like that, how much I had to reach dead end in order for me to understand that I have to be there, but I have to stop doing the way that I do things. So reaching dead end is one of greatest transformation, because at the end of the day, we need, as much as we're gonna reach peak time in our life, we have to go down in order to be better. We have to go down in order to go back to basics. Sometimes we just have to be reminded of the basic things that we did that make us to be where we're at. And those basic, it can be simple thing as doing something for the first time that you never done, like having a bucket list, like renewing your bucket list, doing something probably like you are in a phase where you are not financially able to do things that you want to do. Probably your bucket list need financially, like for example traveling as in a certain country, and you're putting in a, like, you know, you don't have to be like that. You can put other bucket lists that are actually you are able to do. Just for example, going to the beach and doing something different, or doing, like, it can be something as simple as that, doing something like exploring a place that you want to explore, instead of putting yourself in a place where you're like, I'm not gonna travel until like I know all the province that are in within my country. There's no need for me to go like I there's no need for me to be like that. No, you can still like, for example, like I've been doing things that, okay, I've been going to the places that I went to when I was growing up, my town, in the town that I actually grew up into. And I am so surprised, like I it feels like I'm in a new place sometimes. Like I've never noticed a certain mountain. I've never noticed a certain place. What energy that I get, like it's like I've know this place, but I didn't know this, because sometimes we don't pay much attention to things that are actually we see every day, until we are present, allowing ourselves to be present. So sometimes that and need us to be in that place where we are being present, where we by we're listening again, whereby we're starting, we're reviewing our ideas, we're reviewing whatever things that you actually done and wish you done different. So reaching that end is another form of us being going back to the foundation, or us going back to the basic, because sometimes the basic is what made us to be where we at. Sometimes we forget the basics, such as going for walks, for exercising whatsoever. So like I've been put in a place where I'm like, I realize I've I've neglected a lot of things that are actually simple, that are actually basic, because I was so focused on other things that I wanted. And as much as I'm grateful for the things that I want, but sometimes it's good to start something new. It can be something new as a language, learning a new language. It can be something like that. Sometimes you just need that. You just don't need to constantly be focused on your goals. You just have to be present. Allow yourself to know a certain ways that you don't know. Allow yourself to be around children. Allow yourself to be like a basic things that you used to do that you felt like they're childish. You used to do that you felt like they're no longer aligning with, because you feel like you're old. Sometimes, like for example, like when we broke up, we experience a breakup, you realize how much of the things that actually we neglected, like your hobbies, especially your hobbies. Like probably you are into exercising, and as you were dating, you did exercise, but you were not consistent as you used to be. Probably you don't even remember at the time you were in library doing searching certain book that you used to read, or maybe that you were interested in, but you didn't have time because you were buying things online. Like I am so addicted to buying things online, and I have to stop, because I don't need all of that. I just don't. It's just that sometimes I'm like, what? Like, so it can be something as going back, like reading that book that you've been postponing to read, because you felt like this month you like like I kept on saying like lately. So like I'm talking about that, like reaching the dead end is just you going back to the basic that you feel like you are not longer, or maybe you forgot that actually it's basic, because you having like your moment whereby you forgetting a lot of things that actually put you where you at. So thank you guys. Like going back to your hometown, it can be a basic. Going back to do this, it can be a basic. Learning to understand your bloodline, your generational mentality, it's basic. Because sometimes you'll be, I remember like when I was actually evaluating my relationship and all of that, and going back to understand my bloodline and everything, knowing that wow, this is where I actually this is what we call generational mentality, because sometimes you will know what you don't want to do as any form, like you don't want to do the same thing as your parent, you want to do things different whatsoever. But how can you know that this is something that you are not supposed to be doing if you don't know where it started? Because sometimes you don't not even aware that it's a generational mentality. Instead, you are putting yourself like For me, I've never had a role model. So as I've never have a role model, I've put myself in a position where I was like, I don't want to be this person. I don't want to act like this person. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. You know, I'm putting myself in a place where I just know that I don't want to do this. I know that I do things different than my family. But you know what? Doing all of that, if you don't know where it started, you will never break free from it. Sometimes you're going to end up doing the same thing that you said you wouldn't do. For example, this song by Demi Lovato that is popping on my head with, I don't know the name of the guy, but it's let me just play it. This song is, but she's talking about things that she said she wouldn't do, and her not having understanding that why she's doing what you're doing and why you are doing it. It kind of like it made me sad, but at the same time I was actually happy that she's making music like that, because eventually she said she doesn't want to do this, she doesn't want to do that, without not knowing where she comes from, because now she's having a responsibility of breaking generational curse, and she's having a responsibility of breaking generational curse. She doesn't know why his father was behaving the way he was behaving. He has to understand that his father was didn't break the generational curse that um the generational curse that his father didn't break the generational curse that he was supposed to be breaking. Instead, she did the same thing that his father did. This song, I don't have a right to this song. I'm just gonna play it. It's not my song, and as I said, it's Demi Lovato's song as well as Semi Fisher. What other people say, I'm just gonna see whether will I get lyrics, the important lyrics part. I don't have any right to the song. I mentioned that. She said, like the verse, thought when I grew up I would be the same as the one who gave me my last name. I will not give in. I will not partake in the same old drugs everyone else takes. But his father was doing what? Was doing drugs. His father was doing drugs. She ended up doing drugs. She judged her father first, just like I did. I remember judging my parents. I was like, I don't want to put myself in the same position. But when I was in a place where I was dating exactly men who actually looked exactly as my father, and you know what? I was pushed to break free from that. I was pushed to heal. I was pushed to do things different. So reaching that end, it can be one of the greatest things, because sometimes we tend to ignore the basic. So she said, I'm better than that. I'm better than that. I'm living my life. So I go to heaven, never come back. Like, you are just putting yourself in a place where you just know that I'm not gonna do the same thing, but you don't know the root. Go Reaching that end is putting us back to the root of what made us behave the way we behave, why we do things that we are doing. So reaching that end, it's us being pushed to do things different the way we used to do, because you can't expect changes in your life without you have to see why it's not working. The outcome will happen when you started doing things different. So reaching that end is part of that. She said, I used to call my mom every day and Sunday. I think that's one of the most things that we do when we're young. We are so attached, especially people who have a loving parents. You're so attached to your mom. You call them every day. Now she's telling you, like, she's now fucked up in LA. Like, her life caught up on her, so she's just in a place where she's have to grow. She's distanced to the things that she thought she would do, and she had to go to the basic. She forgot the promise that she made on herself. So I'm just interpreting on this song, but at the same time, it's just that thing that I was looking at, like reaching dead end. By the way, Thank you for liking, for subscribing, as well as for sharing. And thank you guys for donation again. So, bye.